American made, but like Chevrolet. My mama taught me wrong from right. I was born in the South. Sometimes I have a big mouth when I see something.
Hello Pixar fans, and welcome to my next Pixar review. Today I'm going to be reviewing Cars. The original. Yes. Released in 2006, so 10 years ago now. Blimey. Yeah, so the basic plot of Cars is that it centers around this race car known as Lightning McQueen. He's a rookie involved in this big competition known as the Piston Cup. The opening race ends in a three-way tiebreaker between McQueen and his two rivals, Chick Hicks and Mr. the King, and they set up a rematch in California, and they have to travel there. Along the way, Lightning McQueen's truck, Mac, falls asleep. Lightning McQueen also falls asleep, and he accidentally gets left behind, and he gets stranded in this old town known as Radiator Springs on Route 66. Along his way, he damages a lot of the town, particularly the road. Then the next day, they force him to fix the road, and then as his penance for damaging everything, and then he can go. But as he stays in the village, he grows to love the people there and the atmosphere, and you know, he starts to become a better person and less arrogant and everything. And then it all builds up to him discovering that we find out that there's a old Hudson Hornet known as Doc. He was once a race car, won his fair share of trophies, and then at the end of the film, they find Lightning McQueen. He gets into his race, and the team have to help him. So that's really all I can say about Cars in terms of the plot. Now, Cars. This is a very interesting one. Not many people like this film. It's not one. I think critically, it's probably the least positive out of all of the Pixar films. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, the problem with Cars is that it's just boring. That's it. It's just boring. I mean, here's the thing about Cars, that what essentially happened with this is that the filmmakers and animators have basically made this for themselves, and they've said this before. They've actually said this before. John Lasseter has admitted that he has, you know, he's always been in love with cars, and he's always loved cars, and he's always wanted to make. So it was really something made for nostalgia, but because of that, I feel that there's no central demographic here. You have, okay, possibly young boys might like it. My nephew, who at the time was very young, liked the first two Cars movies. You know, in which case, fair enough. But I don't think many people would like this film because it's just too damn long as well. I mean, you know, it's surprisingly uneventful for something that's about cars. It's just very run-of-the-mill, and it's completely disappointing by Pixar standards. You just sit there and you go, snore, you know, that's it. I wanted to snore. It was, you know, it was boring, and it doesn't help. You know, Cars is undoubtedly 20 minutes too long. I'm sorry. It is way too long, and it, you know, it's very boring. A lot of young kids are going to get bored. They're not going to like it, and you know, that's probably why this film was so critically bad. It was, well, I mean, it's not terrible. It's not like the worst animated film ever, but out of the Pixar films, if you had to pick a worst, I wouldn't blame you if you said Cars. I mean, it doesn't really do anything for me. I mean, essentially, you know, the message of the story is to appreciate what you've got, not take it for granted, and don't let that run away with you. Remember to be a nice person, you know. I like the fact that the gang from Radiator Springs show Lightning McQueen how to be a better person, you know, through his relationship with Sally and Mater and the rest of them, you know, that's very nice. And also his relationship with Doc Hudson as well is great. Let's talk about the cast. I don't know many of the cast names, but Owen Wilson voices Lightning McQueen. He's very good. He puts a lot of feeling into his voice, and I like that. I think it's Bonnie Hunt. Sally, Bonnie Hunt. Yeah, I think it's her, but don't quote me on that. She's good. She's good, and they have a good chemistry. Larry the Cable Guy, you have as Mater. I don't particularly mind Mater. I mean, I think he's fine in this film. He doesn't have too much to do. In Cars 2, he will get more to do, but we'll get to Cars 2 at some point down the line. But yeah, and you know, they develop a nice friendship. I can understand if people find him annoying. I don't find him annoying too much in this film. I think it's more in the second film, but I'll talk about the second film later on. Okay. I also feel that this film, like I said, it's surprisingly uneventful. Most of the screen time consists of Lightning McQueen fixing a road. Well done, Pixar. I'm really feeling the family vibes. Well done, well done. Oh god, it's just boring. It's such a snooze. You know, it's just such a snooze fest. You know, Cars, the original film, best sleep you would have had in years. You know, 2 hours of nothing. That's the problem. Why is this movie 2 hours long? It's 2 hours of nothing. Nothing happens. A bunch of stuff happens, but nothing remotely interesting happens. I mean, you know, the Doc Hudson's character is interesting, but it's very late in the day when you realise who he actually is, and you know him in relation to Lightning McQueen, and it doesn't really go anywhere. And you know, I don't know. There are some funny scenes. You know, the comedy's quite good on some occasions. Like especially the tractor tipping scene. That's good. Chick Hicks was a prick. I mean, well, chick pricks. Like there's a lot of characters in this film. I think there's a bit too many characters. Like you have Lightning McQueen, Mater, Sally, Doc, Ramon, Flo, Luigi, Guido, Chick Hicks, you know, Daryl Cartrip. You have so many characters. Mac as well, voiced by John Ratzenberger. He's good. And I love the end credits when they have all of the other sort of recreation Pixar films in the cars, sort of with the characters looking like cars. And it's good that they got the actors to come back and voice re-record some of their lines slightly different. So you have the Toy Story rehash scene of "You are a car toy." That's funny. And then the Monsters Inc. one, and then the Bugs Life one. They're both really funny, and obviously John Ratzenberger is in all of those films, and him as Mac reacting to that is quite funny. The film has a good opening when it opens with the race, when Lightning McQueen is, you know, I am speed, one winner, 42 losers, you know, and it's, I mean, the whole film is essentially about his journey to become a better person, and he does that, and it's a very nice. For nothing else in the movie, that's nice, but everything else is just nothing. Cars is a big fat nothing, and I mean, the animation looks great. The animation looks really nice. I can't deny that. You know, you just don't really feel anything from it. It's not deep. I mean, it's not like some of the other Pixar films. I mean, it came after The Incredibles as well, so you know, didn't exactly raise the bar, did it? I mean, you know, I don't mind if the filmmakers wanted to make something for themselves, but at least make something that audiences can enjoy as well. They've made something that is the byproduct of their own nostalgia, but that nostalgia doesn't reach as far to younger audiences. You know, it's at least give it something more. Like the plot is so like paper thin. The narrative is just so, you know, kind of cliche, you know, with the whole mentor thing about, you know, Doc Hudson being the mentor of Lightning McQueen and the whole racing thing, and it feels a bit cliche and underdeveloped, and feels like they literally had, like, first idea, let's throw it in there, that's it. It's lazy. surprisingly lazy. I think Luigi and Guido are very funny though. I do like them. They're good. Yeah, as I said, it's beautifully animated. Decent music score. I'll give it that. One of my favourite scenes actually from this film would have to be when Sally and Lightning McQueen are driving around past the waterfall. Just beautiful to look at, absolutely stunning to look at. But it doesn't really have... I mean, I believe the filmmakers had their hearts in the right place. Don't get me wrong. You know, it's not a bad film. It's not a bad film. Don't get me wrong. But I just don't think there's much to enjoy here. There is at least about 25 minutes to half an hour that could have been cut from this movie entirely. It's way too long. It's boring. It's slow. Some of the plot elements are cliche. You don't care. And the side characters don't get too much to do. We'll see how that differentiates in Cars 2, but this is a pretty lame effort, unfortunately, I have to say. Not particularly good. The script isn't really that good. It never reaches that personal level. I mean, the journey of Lightning McQueen is good. I'll give it that. I mean, there's also a funny cameo from Jeremy Clarkson as well, who some of you may know was the host on Top Gear until a couple of years ago. Oh God, that. I don't personally like him, but I don't mind his cameo in here. It's fine. I can tolerate it because I don't have to look at the guy. Yeah, because basically what happened was, if you didn't know, was Jeremy Clarkson punched a producer on Top Gear, and that was that got him the sack. And now Top Gear is no longer run by Hammond, May, or Clarkson. It's run by Chris Evans and a couple of others, but it's not very good. But anyway, I digress. There's a nice cameo from Michael Schumacher at the end. So there's some good cameos. That's it really. It's ultimately you know, who gives a fuck's plot. That's it. You know, it's basically a race. You know, that's it. I mean, it's a film called Cars. I mean, there's only so much you can do with Cars. I mean, some people have criticised the animation in the sense that the actual look of the cars themselves. I don't have a problem with it. I don't know why people complain. I think because of they think the eyes look a bit weird on the front window screen. I'd rather have had the eyes on the headlights. But to be honest, that would have looked even weirder. So yeah, it's directed okay, I guess. I mean, you can tell that John Lasseter has a love, has a nostalgia for cars, making this film, but he doesn't take you to places. He doesn't take the story to places. I mean, it feels secluded in the Radiator Springs setting. I don't mind it being set there. I think I like that. It gives it more of an old-fashioned feel. So it's not completely focused on the racing, which is good. But it offers nothing new. Because Pixar, by this point, they'd made 6 previous films, feature films, and, you know, this was just par for the course. You know, it offered nothing. Most of the other films have been pretty well, pretty much all of the other films up to this point have been pretty spectacular and had done something really new and diverse and interesting and very original. This doesn't do anything. I mean, you may be slightly entertained, but you will ultimately be very disappointed when you start to think about it and evaluate it. There are entertaining scenes, particularly the tractor tipping scene. That's funny. But ultimately, Cars, it's just a failed idea. I mean, there's no clear demographic for this film, apart from the filmmakers themselves. And it offers nothing in terms of deep narrative story, apart from the journey of Lightning McQueen, which is quite good, showing him becoming a better person. And I like the fact that he gives up the Piston Cup to help Mr. the King at the end, who crashes. But apart from that, it's just a very uneventful film. Not much happens, really. So yeah, and you know, the comedy's alright, I guess. It's quite good. It's quite fun. I did laugh a few times. And the animation does look pretty stunning. But overall, this is pretty poor by Pixar standards. It's a shame because they've done much better than this. And the fact that we're going to get a third Cars movie doesn't really excite me, but hey ho, that'll be next year. We'll see how that works out. As for Cars, I'm going to rate Cars out of 10. I'm going to have to give it a 5 out of 10.
I'm American made, but a large Chevrolet. My mama taught me wrong from right. I was born in the South. Sometimes I have a big mouth when I see something.
I wish I could give it more. I really want to give it more. I want to love this. I wanted to like it. I wanted to embrace it, but sadly, I'd say it's just okay. It's just okay. Yeah. So, that's my review of Cars. Tune in next time and I'll review another Pixar film. So, until then, guys, thank you all for watching, and as always, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. See ya.